Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Now School District. My name is Ken Manning. I am the elementary school counselor. We have a very special guest here today, private first class Nicholas Friske. And tell you what, it is a pleasure just saying that, Nicholas. I get goosebumps already. It is a real honor to be sitting here beside you, and thank you for taking the time to do an interview.
No problem. The honor is all mine, really. I don't mean to sound cheesy or cliche, but really when I wanted to join the Marines, I knew that I'd be serving others. It wasn't going to be the other way around. And so the honor really is all mine, and I'm glad I could get the chance to sit down and talk a little bit and maybe shed some light on what all goes on in the crazy world of private first class Nicholas Friske.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be kind of crazy at different times here. You know, here's something, and we talk, when I talk to 5th and 6th graders, we talk about careers and goal setting and that. Nicholas, could you tell us a little bit about when was it that you knew you wanted to be a Marine, and how did you go about setting that goal?
Well, that's a good question, and one that I could spend hours talking on, but I'll try and keep it short. I knew I wanted to join the Marines at a very young age. I don't know what it was. It was just kind of a calling. It was, I guess, the call to duty, I guess, that they always talk about in the commercials. But I knew I wanted to do it at a young age, and I knew I didn't want to get stuck behind a desk job or anything like that. And so that was the easy part for me, is knowing what I wanted to do and getting focused in. Now, obviously, at a young age, I couldn't do much. When I figured it out when I was in like maybe 2nd grade. So there wasn't much I can do as a 2nd grader, obviously, to prepare to become part of the United States Fighting Force. But as I got older, I would always keep my ears out for opportunities, for things I could do, whether it be physical training, mental training, that kind of stuff. And the program I was in, the Royal Rangers, I think I spoke about that at a different time. But I joined that program, and that really helped me out. And once I got to high school, I knew it was crunch time, because high school is obviously when things get real, when you need to really start thinking about what you're going to do after high school. And a lot of people were in limbo. A lot of people didn't know what they were going to do, but of course I had the advantage of having my goal set. Mm-hmm. And so as the years went on, and I realized the school sports I was doing really helping me. Classes I was taking, I started centering them more towards a military career. And then in my junior year, I learned about starting college early. And so that was my next goal. So my goal shifted from I want to be a Marine to I need to prepare myself for the Marines. So I started taking college classes to get myself my rank. So now I'm a private first class because of that. I joined something called the Delayed Entry Program, which was all focused on physical, mental, all that kind of stuff, but it was all with the Marines. So I wasn't a part of the Marines at all. I had a year where I signed the dotted line, but before I could realize that goal of becoming an official Marine or going to boot camp, I needed to complete my goal of being completely prepared. So I had the college classes down, I had the prior preparation when I was a kid, and then I had the final training of the delayed entry program before I felt ready to take that step into boot camp. And once I did, boot camp being the final goal before I became a Marine, once I did take that step, I knew I was ready. I knew I wasn't going to be any more ready than I was. And all of the goal setting, all of the prior preparation was invaluable, because when I got to boot camp, I knew what I was doing. I knew I had discipline, and I could follow orders, and I was physically fit enough that when I got there, it was just a matter of time, and it was a matter of dealing with the other people who weren't at all ready and trying to avoid them. But once that finished and came about, I realized boot camp was pretty easy for me. And now I have my stripe for a private first class, and I'm already making strides thanks to my boost that I gave myself because of my prior preparation and goal setting that I did at even a young age, and then constantly looking for things to do, looking for ways to better prepare myself for my future. So I'd say that would probably be the biggest advantage to goal setting and what I did for myself.
Have that mindset at such an early age, and you talk about you were better prepared than a number of other people. What was it like when you went to that boot camp? Was that a big eye opener for you? Were there people that were trying to outshine you, trying to maybe make you look bad? How competitive stuff is that?
Well, I can't speak for other boot camps, but as for the competitiveness, everything was very competitive, but you mostly worked together as a team because you were in a platoon. But the way the order goes is you have a company and then a platoon and then, individuals. And so everyone in the company was fighting to be the best platoon in the entire group. So the competition was there, and it was very real. And so everything from how clean our bathrooms were to how well we did when it came to physical training was always being measured up against the other platoons. And my group did pretty well, surprisingly. And we would always be getting third, second. We got first when we did the firing range, the rifle range. And so the competition was always there and was always motivating. Now, as for me being prepared and going in, I would say that was my biggest challenge, was that I was prepared and I was ready. And then when I got there, I realized just how many people did not think like I did. And that was the biggest challenge of boot camp, was dealing with those who couldn't even put their pants on in the morning, because there were quite a few who, even to begin with, didn't know how to put on our trousers because they were so used to putting on sweatpants and that kind of stuff. And now they were dealing with buckles where you had to weave it in and out in order to tighten it. And so I'd say that was, being prepared was my biggest strength, but also my biggest disadvantage, because it was so annoying to be totally ready and then looking around and seeing nobody else knowing what they were doing. And then in boot camp, if an individual fails, the entire team gets punished. Yeah. So I would be standing tall, all set, looking good, everything's all good for me, and then someone wouldn't even have their pants on in the morning, and then we'd all have to get messed up for it and do push-ups or have to take everything off and restart, and it was just a big time waster, and it would get in your head, and yeah, it was really frustrating, and that was the biggest part.
Yeah. That would be annoying. There's just no two ways about it. You're trying to set an example and get things going and have everybody look good. Tell us a little bit about the mental side, the mental preparation, that in itself, being annoyed with other people in your platoon, in your group, but yet the mental aspect of everything that was coming up for you. How in the world did you get prepared for that?
Well, that's another good question. That's really hard, because the Marine Corps boot camp is the hardest boot camp. It's recognized officially by the DoD, the Department of Defense, as the hardest boot camp. And that's because it focuses on both mental and physical, because when you're in combat, you need to have your head on straight, otherwise other people could get hurt because of you. And preparing yourself for the mental aspect is nigh on impossible, because even me, knowing I wasn't going to fail and knowing that I wanted to do this, even I would think to myself, dang, this is hard, I kind of want to go home. And I was able to quickly be like, what? No, that's stupid. I would never do that. Mm-hmm. But for others, it was harder. There'd be kids that were crying because they did not want to be there anymore, but they didn't know how to get out. And so preparing for anything mental, whether it be in life or the military, is really hard. You need to have discipline. You need to have the ability to hear what your superiors are telling you to do and then do it. To be able to, if they tell you to sit up straight with your hands on your knees, you need to be able to do that. And then even if you get uncomfortable, you need to have that mental check to say, nope, they told me to do this, I'm going to stay like that, because it will help you. And that kind of mindset will get you far, because in life and in the military, you're going to get told to do things that you don't think make sense. You're going to get told to act, to accomplish tasks that you think stink, that you don't want to do. But in the end, if you do it, it's better for you. So when your mom tells you to take out the trash, if you don't take out the trash, you're going to get, I don't know, you're going to get dinner taken away or something, or dessert. I don't know. You're going to get dessert taken away for dinner that night. But if you just take out the trash, then nothing happens. You make your mom happy, and just like that, it's an easy day. So I would say that would be the best way to prepare mentally. And like I said, that's for the military, that's for life. Once you get discipline, once you get order following, then you can do that to others. So then you can start giving orders. Then you can start telling people how to act and what to do when they don't know what they're doing. And that was probably the hardest part that some people couldn't wrap their heads around in boot camp, is that they would still be undisciplined and doing their own thing when they should have been working towards the team and going forward with what they were being told to do by like the drill instructors, the sergeants, as well as their fellow recruits who were trying to help them. And that's about all I have to say about the mental side. There's not much you can do, but you do what you can, and then you take it in stride.
Yeah. Well, it does sound to me like it's that self-discipline that is so important, and then to have that, again, we talk about a mindset around here. It's unbelievable what you as a Marine in that training mode have to come up with. Talk to us just a little bit, if you can, about you get everything done, you're going through the boot camp, and then you have that one final big test, and that is a scorcher. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I'm assuming you're alluding to the Crucible, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't say much about the Crucible because it would be a spoiler. And honestly, the fact that no one told me made the Crucible all the better. And the Crucible for me was actually kind of fun. I mean, of course, it was grueling. It was hard. And there'd be times where I'd be like dragging my face through a bunch of dirt, and I'd be like, whew, this is tough. But after each time, when you get up and you march however many miles to wherever you're going to next, I mean, we'd obviously have really long marches with sort of heavy packs. And so as you were going, you just take that time to be like, really, that wasn't that bad. And then you would get to your next obstacle, and then you'd be like, oh, shoot, here we go again. And then it's just getting through it. And again, that's part of the mental toughness, is if you have the mindset of, I'm going to do this quitting is not an option, you're going to get through it, whether that be in life or the military. Is that if you set your mind to doing something, you will do it. If you leave room for error, if you go, oh yeah, I betcha I can join the football team, but what if I don't do well? Then you're going to doubt yourself. You're not going to be able to reach your full capability in that task. But if you think to yourself, I'm joining the football team, and I'm going to be this position, and I am going to do it to the best of my ability. And then let's say you don't get that position that you want. Then you just take where you're at, and then you go from there. You push, you take your role, you take your responsibilities, and you own it, and you go forward. Because I wanted to be a squad leader, right? I wanted to be a leader within the group of recruits. But the way things happened, that just didn't turn out for me. But what I did is, even though I was just a general grunt, I was just a general recruit, I still took it upon myself to make sure that the person to the left and the right of me were in good shape. And I gave it my all and everything as if I was a squad leader. And the benefits of that were I didn't get yelled at much. And whenever there was like a lesser leadership position, the drill instructors knew they could count on me to get things done. And so that's what'll happen in life, is if you take what you have and make the most of it, you're going to get noticed by those who are above you, and then that will advance you in everything you do. And the Crucible was the perfect mechanism for that, because you had to be a leader. Each person had to be a leader at least once during the Crucible. And there were people who weren't ready for it, and they got smoked, and everybody got smoked because it was really hard, and if you didn't get your tasks done, you wouldn't eat. So if you had a bad leader who panicked and couldn't keep their head on their shoulders or just weren't confident in themselves, they would fail. And then no one would be able to eat, no one would be able to use the bathroom, and then we'd be suffering until we had another chance with a different leader. And then we had to hope on them for the chance to eat, to use the bathroom, to be able to just take a second and breathe, to get back in that headspace. And that is one thing that they taught all the way through boot camp is confidence, confidence, confidence. If you don't have confidence in yourself, you're not going to make it. And so that was one of the biggest things that the Crucible and boot camp taught me was confidence, confidence, confidence. Set goals, reach them, move on to the next one. Never be happy with where you're at. Constantly look for the next thing you can do, or if you can't get there yet, look for how you can help yourself get there, if that makes sense.
Very much so. I think, listening to you with that, and the first thing that, as you were talking about this, and I'm thinking, it's got to be confidence. If you have to believe in yourself. One of the things that I noticed, knowing Nicholas last year as a senior, you had some really good confidence about yourself. And that's one thing that struck me as being very important. And I thought, you know what? If you're going into the Marines, you got a great first step right there. What little bit I know about Marines, but I did know that, like you said, the toughest boot camp and that kind of stuff, Marines. That I kind of knew that one, just on talking with other past students that I've known. Go back to. It sounds to me like when you're talking about the Crucible and everything else, you have to swallow your pride and you have to put everybody together, and it's that team factor that you mentioned. I just think that it's phenomenal, and I congratulate you, as I know so many people have seen you around here. We'll switch gears just a touch here. Talk to us a little bit about this uniform and stuff. I tell you what, you do it well. You really do it well. It's great. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, so first off, every branch says they have the best uniform, but while in the Marines, we had people from other branches that would be helping us. So, for instance, the Marines work a lot with the Navy. We had some Army guys come in towards graduation. And I think there was an Air Force guy that stopped by too. All of them say that the Marines are the best branch and that we have the best uniforms. And part of the reason why we're the best branch is because we have the best uniforms. So that's not coming from me. That's coming from other veterans of around that area. But that comes with a price tag, because this uniform isn't given to you right away. You don't show up and they're like, okay, here you go. You earn it, and you're earning it throughout the entirety of boot camp. You get fitted for it around phase 2, so around maybe 5 weeks in is when you get your first fitting for these uniforms, and then you have another fitting before you go up north to your final test, like your final test area, and then your last fitting is a week before graduation. So you never get this uniform until you are graduating. You never get to wear them. You never get to so much as take them out of they give you like a little bag. You never take them out of the bag until you are about a week from graduating. And the only time you take them out is to work on them, to make sure that there's no like fuzzies, or that everything's straight and that everything's ironed on correctly. And if they're not, you have to fix them. And if you get these badges and you put those badges on and you have to put them on just right and make sure everything's centered. So you earn this uniform. It's never a suit, it's never a costume, it's a uniform. And if you don't take pride in your uniform, you're in big trouble. And so what I'm wearing right here is the Dress Blue Bravos, which is what I'm authorized to wear when I'm doing recruiting work or just out on liberty or leave, which is basically like when you're not on duty. Okay. And there's certain uniforms for certain things. So, for instance, if I was wearing medals right now, you can only wear medals on the dress blue alphas, which is what you have to, you can only wear those during the Marine Corps ball or when you're on in like a very ceremonious setting. So if you so much as wear the wrong uniform at the wrong time and place, it's seen as like a disrespect towards your uniform that you have worked hard to earn. But places like the National Guard, as soon as you sign your name, they give you your uniform and say congratulations. But even all the way down to the camouflage uniform that we get, which is just your standard everyday clothing. You need to maintain it. You have to. There can't be any stains or anything gross on them. You have to blouse your boots, which is, it's hard to explain, but it's basically you roll the sleeves of the boots to look nice, and you have to roll your sleeves. And you need to roll your sleeves. You can't just crumple them up and just push them up like you would on the farm. You have to roll them in a specific way so that way they look clean, they look sharp. And I stink at rolling sleeves, but what I did is when I figured out that I stink at rolling sleeves, I went around and I asked for help all the time. I would pester my drill instructors, my fellow recruits, and then by the end of boot camp, I was able to make my own sleeves and look nice, and I brought them to my parents, and they said I looked sharp, and so I figured that was the passing that I needed to do. But there were plenty of people who stunk at rolling sleeves and just left it at, oh, I stink at rolling sleeves. And then they had other people do it for them. And when it came down to graduation and time that they didn't have time for other people to help them, they had garbage-looking sleeves in front of their parents. And so there were all these Marines, including myself, thankfully, looking sharp with our rolled sleeves, rolled correctly, whereas people who didn't have the confidence, who didn't have the mindset that we need to be looking good at all times, we need to earn this uniform, they had garbage-looking sleeves in front of their families. And it was a bit of an embarrassment, really. So that's what all I have to say about the uniform, that you have to earn it. So if you want to look like me, you need to earn this uniform. It's never given.
Right. Nicholas, I just want to say thank you for doing what you're doing, serving, protecting all of us, protecting the flag back here. I mean, I tell you what, it's, again, goosebump time for me because I really, really appreciate young people with the standards and the morals and what you're about, and to protect this great land. It's you talk about it was an honor, but it's an honor for me to sit here with you. Tremendous honor with that, and I can wish you nothing but the best of luck. And thank you for coming here. Thank you for protecting us and keeping our rights safe and solid.
Well, I'd say the honor goes both ways. Let's just leave it at that. Let's agree to disagree, and I honor you just as you honor me. And if I were to say anything to students, to people who maybe don't know what they're doing, it has always been my personal opinion that no matter what branch, it doesn't have to be the Marines, but it has always been my personal opinion that young people or people in high school or even people who are in the adult world and meet the age requirements should serve in the military. And that's not because of the honor, the duty, the call, whatever have you. Even after being 2 weeks out of boot camp, I have just received so many benefits and so many things that are helping me get on with my adult life that I wouldn't have if I wasn't in the military. So many opportunities and the correct mindset to go into my adult life. So if you don't know what you're doing after high school, or if you want something to help you with college, or if you want to further your education, talk to a recruiter. I'm not saying that because I was told to. It's always been my personal opinion, because there's just so much good that can come out of it. And on top of it all, you're serving the country. You're serving those who can't serve, or you're serving those your fellow man next to you. It really is an honor, and it's a call to duty, but it also helps you in just so many different ways. And of course, take it or leave it, take what you will. But it has always been my personal belief that if you can serve, you really should, for yourself and for your country. because it really is symbiotic. It'll help you and it'll help the country in just so many different ways. And when you're out, you'll think to yourself, that was a great time, and you'll just have so many different benefits that'll propel you farther than what you could become if you just went through college or went straight to the workforce after high school, or even are in the workforce or college right now. There's just so many different opportunities for you. But I'm assuming we're closing.
We're closing.
Yeah, so I will leave it off with, I wanted to thank everybody who wrote to me or even had me in their prayers, their thoughts. I really felt them, and with every letter I held in my hand, it always left me grinning from ear to ear, no matter what it was. And I wanted to thank everyone for their support, for the honor of being able to be interviewed. I didn't expect it, but when I found out that I was going to be interviewed, I was honored to. And of course, I wanted to shake your hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And like I said, the honor goes both ways. So if you see me anywhere, make sure you give me a high five or a handshake, and I will be more than willing to return the favor. So thank you all, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak about my experience.
You bet. Well, all I could think of was the commercial that we see, the proud, the few, the Marines.
Proud Marines.
And we have a very proud, one of the few Marines right here at Brookwood, our 2021 graduate. Private First Class, Nicholas Friske. Thanks again.
Thank you.